Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. I have a gold expert, Ewan Downie. Ewan Downie is the CEO of I-80 Gold. And the reason why I wanted to have him on today is because there are some very interesting articles coming out. Governments around the world are starting to freak out. The world's reserve currency isn't exactly what we thought it was. We're starting to see turmoil. Countries are looking for gold. And now all of a sudden out of Fort Knox or Yahoo, they're saying Fort Knox has gold, don't forget. Ewan, how are we doing? And what do we think about all these new stories coming out, especially the one about Fort Knox? What do you think about the Fort Knox gold?
Well, I'm doing well. Our company's had a great year in terms of exploration. We are, as you mentioned, a gold-focused company. But when it comes to how much gold does Fort Knox have, that's a difficult question. I heard all kinds of rumors about, tungsten being painted gold. Tungsten's another heavy metal. And being put there because they've loaned out so much gold to other countries. So it's really hard to say. I don't think the US would really play with their gold reserve currency or their gold reserves. Maybe not to the extent that some of these rumors are, but anything's possible in this environment.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The stories about the Fort Knox gold being gone, I don't actually agree with. I believe there is gold in that building. The problem is it just hasn't been audited, so we don't know. And before the interview, you were talking about when we were talking about Fort Knox, you said it sort of really doesn't matter because we're not the leader when it comes to gold reserves. China's really taken that torch and run with it. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, definitely. China has been a huge buyer of gold. We're starting to see other countries like China and Russia starting to peg their dollars to the gold, sort of having a gold-backed dollar, so to speak. And really, if you look at paper dollars, they're only worth the paper they're written on, and every country is carrying such monstrous debt that fiat currency to me isn't the most stable place to be. So everybody having gold in their portfolio to me is really important. And countries like Canada have sold it all. So what do we have backing us? So, but China has definitely overtaken as the leader in terms of gold reserve currency or gold reserves that backs their currency. And I think we're just going to see that continue. I think last month or a couple of months ago was a record quarter for Chinese buying, and there's a funny cartoon you see. It's the U.S. throwing gold bars over a fence, and the other way the Chinese are throwing U.S. dollars back at them. So that's a good way of looking at it.
It is absolutely so true. Now, I want to go over a couple stories here, and this is the one that we were just talking about. That this is off of MoneyWise, but Yahoo ran with it first, saying that America's golden parachute, Fort Knox, is home to billions of dollars of gold. And I think it's very timely that these news stories are coming out, trying to reassure the American people that the gold is there. This is the story out of Reuters just a few hours ago. Gold at more than 1 week high as the dollar slips. And it looks like we're losing that 106, 108 handle for the US dollar index. And I wanted to ask your opinion on where you think we are with that, because the US dollar has shown a lot of strength as the Federal Reserve came in and was raising rates. But now we're starting to see a little bit more and more Fed speak coming from the Fed governors saying that they're looking at slowing the rate of rise in the near future. What do you think that can do for the dollar value and gold's value?
Well, I think we're definitely going to see the gold price escalate or go up in a dropping US dollar environment. The real reason we've seen such a strong US dollar or a weaker gold price is being because of this strong US dollar because of rate hikes. But the rate hikes are just going to cause damage to the economy, and when they back off, the US dollar should go down and gold will go up. But I think gold is being actually very resilient in this dollar environment. I think a lot of people would have expected gold to have dropped much further with the all-time highs in U.S. Currency, but with but it's held up really well. And with some of the cryptocurrencies now having difficulty, I think that it's a great time to be invested in gold, and usually gold companies like I-80 Gold outperform the commodity in a rising environment.
Yeah, you know what? Well, let's jump right to that real quick, because I've got to say I'm impressed. First off, I am actually in total agreement with you. I'm impressed with the price of gold in this dollar rising environment. I would have expected gold and silver to sell off massively, but they really haven't. They've held a lot of value. Now, your company, we're talking about a larger company, what, $651 million market cap. In the last month, actually, I pulled back to 6 months, we've seen a pretty good rise in volume in your stock, actually. In the last month has been pretty awesome. What's been going on with your company?
We've had tremendous success this year with the drill bit. We are one of the, or we expect to be one of the fastest growing gold producers. So i-80 Gold is a year and a half old since we were spun out of Premier following the takeover of Premier Gold by Equinox. And our share prices, we did have a dip with the gold price, but really performing well now, given that we've had substantial success in growing our development, growing our production, and we had a record quarter in Q3. But we've really done well on the exploration front. We made two very significant discoveries: the South Pacific Zone at Granite Creek, which is a plus 10 gram deposit that we've delineated over the last year.
Wow.
And more recently, we found a very high grade polymetallic discovery at our flagship Ruby Hill project that, in my opinion, is amongst the highest grade new discoveries of any metal anywhere in the world in the last couple of years. And that's what's really seen the last month rise. And we're drilling off that new discovery. And in my opinion, it's just early days in terms of an investor awareness of what our company's doing.
Yeah, I've been trying to show people on this channel the importance of owning physical precious metals, gold and silver. I think it's extremely important. I think platinum has definitely got its place too in this world, as far as making money against a falling currency. The other thing is I try and show people the importance of having some exposure into the mining equities. And one thing about your company that sets it apart from a lot of the companies that I follow is that you are located in the United States, correct?
Yes, 100% US focused. We trade on the New York Stock Exchange as well. So that's a bit unique for smaller companies.
Yep.
We're on the big board in New York. We also, but we operate 100% in Nevada, USA. So we're a US mining company. The cover of our presentation says "Made in the USA."
Yep.
And definitely we view Nevada, and so does the Fraser Institute. It's consistently ranked as one of the safest jurisdictions anywhere in the world for developing mining operations. And it's really the home to Barrick and Newmont, where they got started. And they are the largest gold producer in a so-called district anywhere in the world is Nevada. So we're parked in amongst Barrick and Newmont's Nevada Gold Mines assets in Nevada. We're growing our production over the next several years. We're one of the largest holders of gold and silver resources in all of the United States. And we just made what is arguably the highest grade zinc lead discovery that's been made in the US in many years. So we provide exposure to multiple commodities, not just gold.
Nice. So I'm really big on diversification and being involved in sectors that are hated. And to say, would you agree that the gold and silver mining space is probably pretty much hated right now, especially even still on the backdrop of what's going on in crypto? You got investors that are excited about crypto. They're still super pumped about, tech stocks and things like that, even though both of those right now are a train wreck. I like to be invested in things that are not loved, but it seems like that pendulum is about to swing the opposite direction. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think actually the whole mineral sector over the last year, really on the back of a rising US dollar, has become sort of a hated sector.
Yes.
The gold price, as we discussed earlier, it's dropped, but it hasn't dropped down to historic lows. It's actually doing quite well. And I think really there's just been a few things that people have looked at as alternatives to gold. So it's been ignored, and the whole mining industry has been a bit ignored. But as we see this drive to have electric cars and electrify the world, the amount of copper and zinc and silver and other metals we're going to need to do that is going to grow to where it's never been in history. And that means mines are going to be more and more needed. So I think that our sector is going to have a great 2023, 2024 and beyond as these things come to light.
Awesome. Now, another thing I like to share, and you might be able to really shed some light and teach people about this is not only diversification in your portfolio of investments, real estate, stocks, things like that, but when you dive down into one sector and you're investing in a sector, I don't like to put all of my eggs in one basket. And it's not only investing between exploration companies, juniors, and major mining companies, but also jurisdictions. And that's why I want to bring up that you're in the United States, because I want people to realize it's good to fun to wade into speculative small micro cap stocks in other parts of the world, but then it's another thing to have some larger plays that are more solid, grounded, big projects, but also yours being in the United States. I like that. I want people to have exposure in the United States as well because of geopolitical risks. What are your thoughts on geopolitical risks when it comes to the mining sector right now? Because we just saw what happened with Guyana, if I even pronounce it right, them demanding that 20% of the gold that comes out of the ground, the refined gold from the mining companies, be sold to the government. And we've seen this before in other countries. What are your thoughts on geopolitical risks when it comes to the mining sector?
I've long been a proponent of being in North America, so North American focused. And if you look at our predecessor, as I mentioned earlier, i-80 was spun out of Premier following the takeover of Premier. And Premier had projects in Canada, United States, and Mexico. And as you can see with Premier, we're just in the USA. And that's because I even see political risk as being quite high in Canada and Mexico when it comes to mining. Mexico has a lot of cartel influence. There's a lot of behind the scenes negotiating to keeping your projects going. We have the considerable issues developing projects with communities here in Canada. I'm located in Canada, but our head office is in Reno. And really, the United States is really a pro-mining area. And we've constantly seen, look at what just happened in Russia. Kinross had to basically give their mine to the Russian government. So when you're working in all these other countries, the security of your assets is questionable. So the security of ownership in the US is great. We're seeing a real push, I think, with even, I'd say if I were in the US, I'd be more on the Republican side, but the Democrats are really pushing mining. The Biden administration is now investing in mining projects. There's a new fund, which is very little known, and that they've actually invested in Canadian mining projects. So I think there's a real bring it home attitude towards mining coming because of the political instability we're seeing around the planet. And to me, Nevada is the #1 place in the world for working for mining, and that's why our company is only in Nevada.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more. There's so much upside potential. I have investments all around the world, obviously, in the mining sector, but there's so much upside potential in understanding the diversification of the geopolitics and stuff like that. So I can touch a bunch of different places in the world, but I still want to have my core position in safe jurisdictions. So thank you so much, Ewan, for coming on. Are you going to be at VRIC Cambridge House in January?
It's quite possible. We go to a lot of the different shows. I think I think when we met, we were at the Beaver Creek Summit.
That's right. That's right. Because but we also met at, I think, Silver Symposium too in Spokane, right?
Silver, yeah.
That's where I got my lines crossed. Yeah, because I'm going to be up at VRIC, so it'd be awesome to meet you in person. But yeah, when can people find you? When's the next event that you're going to be at?
Well, we attend the PDAC for sure. We do a lot of the banks. Just today, I'm getting ready to leave and fly to Toronto for the Scotiabank conference. So we do a lot of the bank conferences, but definitely the PDAC is a big one for our company. We attend the 4 days, a booth presentation, etc.
Nice.
And we try to make a lot of the retail ones, Zurich, Beaver Creek, obviously, and Denver would be another good one.
Awesome. Well, for sure, I'll see you at Beaver Creek next year, and maybe I'll run into you in Vancouver in January. Well, thank you so much. Will. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having us on.
All right, guys. Well, on behalf of Ewan and the Economic Ninja, we are out.